Welcome to the Sports Motivation Podcast. This is Niyi Sobo, former NFL running back, now mindset coach, teaching you to be supremely confident, fearless, infinitely prepared, and consistently dominating under pressure. So listen up, take notes. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Sports Motivation Podcast. It is your host, Niyi Sobo. Control's the name of the game. I feel like today's episode is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and I like it because it's a lot. There's too many soft, excuse-making, non-responsibility taking, non-control having ass motherfuckers that I run across, you run across, you might be one of them. And if you are one of them, it's my job to wake you up today because you don't have nearly as much time as you think you do. It's way more competitive than you think that it is, and you're not as good as you think that you are. You're not, and that's just a fact. So it's about control. It's about taking control. And, I kind of resisted that for a little bit, and I'm a newly, somebody's an addict and they admit that they're an addict. I'm a control freak. And that doesn't mean, my desire is to control other people and shit like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I value control. I like to feel like I'm doing the right thing. I don't feel right when I wake up late and shit like that. I don't feel right when I don't follow through on the things I got to follow through on. I don't feel right when I give in too much to vices. And I know you're the same way. And some of you know that about yourself and, set shit up accordingly. And some of you are the way that I am, but you don't even know it and you don't honor it. And that's why you feel so much pain. You don't have control. And that's why you're not accomplishing your goals. That's why you're chronically frustrated. That's why you get taken advantage of. That's why you get so mad at circumstances and people that you have no control over. And it's my goal to wake you up and equip you with a different philosophy, a different strategy and approach, as well as some tactics and some new things that you can do in order to build these patterns of control back into your life. And so we talked about the illusion of control. Listen, control is all an illusion. It's not real. So none of us are really in control. As much as I like to feel like I'm in control, it's really just a feeling. So you ever been in the car and you see the ambulance and shit and you see somebody got ran over? I mean, I was a firefighter, so I seen some pretty crazy shit. And I'm sure none of those people woke up that morning saying they were going to get run over by a train. I'm sure none of those people thought that they were going to die that day from a heart attack. There's a lot of things that we cannot control, and no one's exempt. You're not exempt. I'm not exempt. So control is really just an internal feeling that leads you to feel better about yourself and leads you to do different things in the face of adversity. So there's going to be challenges that come up for you as you try to accomplish your goals. You try to make that team. You try to make it to the pro level. You try to make millions of dollars. Do you understand? For you entrepreneurs that have kind of been doing it, like doing cool, and then you try to go to the next level, this shit is tough. And there's challenges that come that come and serve to knock you off balance. And if you don't maintain that inner sense of control, you won't bounce back. You will stop. You will stop. You will stop pursuing what you want. You'll start to make excuses. You'll start to hang around other excuse makers and losers. And you will become a loser yourself. And you don't want to be a loser. You want to be a winner. And winners like control. Winners like being in control. And today, when I break down for you this concept that I'm introducing to you, this whole idea of Self Reliance, which is a pillar of control, I'm not going to just tell you, I'm going to show you from other beasts in all types of industries, all right? Other monsters in their games, thinkers, philosophers, artists, etc. People who think at that level and value control, because I need you to see it. It's very, very important. I feel very passionate about it. And if you haven't already, listen to the very first episode, The Illusion of Control, and you understand why. You understand my story. So let's jump into it. All right, listen. Today, I'm going to break down the first pillar, if you will, of control, because when I talk about control, that can sound sort of elusive, or what does that mean? And one of the evidence, the evidence procedures, if you will, when you know someone is in full control, is when they're completely reliant on themselves, and they take a certain degree of responsibility for themselves. They're independent. So it's all about self-reliance, the ability to rely on yourself and not have to rely on others. And this is very, very uncommon. Very, very uncommon. And what I find is that it's actually frowned upon or looked at as a bad thing. I remember growing up, even I used to like to spend a lot of time by myself. And I remember when I was in college and I had a roommate, and I would come home from practice and I would go to my room. You know, I would hang out by myself, and my roommate would act like he would make fun of me almost. We had a good relationship in that way, but he would call me depressed. As if like just because I wanted to be alone, I was depressed. And I feel like the ability to be alone, to rely on yourself, is a lost art, if you will. But it's so necessary, especially if you're trying to build something that not a lot of people have, especially if you're trying to build businesses, get to the top of your game. You're going to find there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of envy. There's a lot of people who don't think the same way as you. And if you're not able to rely on yourself, if you rely too much on others, it's going to get very frustrating. So listen to Malcolm X tell it as it relates to his what he calls a self-help philosophy. And that's really what self-reliance is all about. Take a listen.
So this government has failed us. The government itself has failed us. And the white liberals who have been posing as our friends have failed us. And once we see that all these other sources to which we've turned have failed, we stop turning to them and turn to ourselves. We need a self-help program, a do it yourself philosophy, a do it right now philosophy. It's already too late philosophy. This is what you and I need to get with. And the only way we're going to solve our problem is with a self-help program. Before we can get a self-help program started, we have to have a self-help philosophy.
So listen, what Malcolm X is telling, particularly to black people at this time, is the government has failed you. So at this period of time, black people were fighting just to get the right, if you will, quote unquote, to eat in the same restaurants as whites, use the same bathrooms as whites, even vote. And Malcolm X is saying, fuck that. The government's already failed you. So while everyone else is protesting and shit, you need to turn to yourself. And that's true for a lot of you. You have been let down by family, by friends, by whoever else, and you are crying, complaining, whining about what other people are not doing for you. And Malcolm X is telling you to take on a self-help philosophy where, like he said, it's already too late. You need to rely on yourself. You need to turn to yourself. And it's tough to do that, especially when you don't trust yourself because you haven't been taught to. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. So like I said, most people don't have this. Most people don't have this self-help philosophy. And here's what most people do. What they do is they rely on people. So they rely on others. They rely on their parents. They rely on their roommates. They rely on their wives, husbands, children, coaches. And you get heartbroken. You get disappointed. How many times you've been let down by somebody that you really care about, somebody that you felt should have done X, Y, and Z, and sure enough, they didn't, and left you heartbroken, disappointed, threw you under the bus. Most people are waiting on people to rescue them. So you're crying about your situation and you're hoping and wishing that somebody's going to come take care of you to save you. A lot of you are seeing things the way you want to see them. You're not seeing them as they really are. And then, of course, this leaves you upset. We see this happen with a ton of people, quote unquote, disenfranchised people, even from black people like me to women to people in the LGBT community. You see things as you want to see them, not as they really are. And you're just upset and you get frustrated, never turning to yourself, never turning inward, only looking outward, looking at the government, looking at your white people, looking at politicians, looking at rich people, looking at whatever you're looking at, everywhere but internally, complaining about every other factor other than looking at yourself. And then a lot of you are trusting other people to have your best interests at heart, even though they don't, even though all human beings are inherently selfish by virtue of the fact that we're animals. We all have instincts, and our instincts are to avoid pain and gain pleasure. You no different, me no different, but you trusting others to have your best interests at heart, not thinking of yourself. Now, am I telling you to be selfish? To a degree, yes. But it doesn't have to look the way that you think it has to look. I'm not telling you to sit in the corner hoarding everything and refusing to have relationships with other human beings because you're so afraid and that, oh, human beings are evil. No, but you need to look at it. You need to be able to face reality. You need to be able to see things as they really are. You need to stop waiting for people to rescue you. You need to have a spirit of control, self-reliance, and start to build a pattern of self-reliance in yourself where you take responsibility and ownership for your goals, for the things that you're doing, that you're pursuing, the things that are going wrong in your life, the things that you don't have but that you want, the things that you do have that you would not like to have. This is all you. You got to start turning inward. So how do we do that? I'm going to be breaking down 3 keys to self-reliance. 3 keys. So we just break the shit down piece by piece. Now we're going underneath self-reliance and figuring out how do we build that. And I'm going to show you with other examples. All right. So the first key is all about taking full responsibility. It's a willingness, a tendency, and we'll go so far as to say it's a need to do things on your own, to rely on yourself to do things, to be on your own, to be your own boss, to take responsibility for your things, to hunt on your own. And let's listen first to Nipsey Hussle, one of my favorite rappers. Obviously, you guys have heard he passed away earlier this year, tragically shot to death. Now, the thing about Nipsey Hussle, why he's already a legend, why he's already being compared to Tupac, why he will always be remembered, is because he was someone who represented true ownership. True ownership. So when asked in an interview, why not just take a deal, right? So a lot of rappers, it's becoming now a trend to be independent as an artist, but Nipsey Hussle is one of the first who had this sort of mindset. Well, even Dame Dash and Jay-Z before that, but Nipsey Hussle was cut from that same cloth. So a lot of artists take deals. So what they do is, here you have this artist, you have this talent, and instead of promoting yourself, instead of doing things on your own, you go to a label that's already established and you basically sell yourself. You become a cog in their machine so that they could promote you. And when asked about this, Nipsey Hussle had a very boss-like answer. Take a listen.
I just think that it's ways to get that money without giving up ownership. $300,000 ain't no life-changing money in the scheme of things.
Right.
You can't buy a house in LA for $300,000. You're gonna be in the hood.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
You're gonna hear a helicopter every night, you know what I mean? And it's gonna be real. Yeah. $300,000. So like, it's about being what type of hustler you are. You know what I'm saying? How you put it all together. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be an owner, but you want your records at radio, you got to find out how to do that. You know what I mean? If it's put up your own money, if it's figure out where else to get the money from, you got to figure out how to do that. Or you got to go ahead and just take a situation that makes sense to you. Me personally, I'm selling mine to people. I'm selling my product to people. I ain't selling it to the formats. I ain't selling it to the platforms. I'm selling mine to people. That's why my shit is fuck the middleman.
So listen to Nipsey Hussle's logic, right? He said, you could take the easy route or a situation that makes sense, which a lot of you do. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and take this job. I'm going to go ahead and work over here. I'm going to go ahead and, live with my parents. I'm going to go ahead and, not try to go after the pro level. I'm going to try to go this route. You could do what makes sense. Or he says you could be an owner and figure that shit out. Figure it out. That's taking full responsibility, figuring it out. But most people don't want to go through that pain. They want things handed to them and then get upset when it's not handed to them. So it takes a degree of courage to have control and have that self-reliance. But it starts with taking full responsibility. So he said, for me, I'm gonna go ahead and be an owner. I'm gonna go ahead and figure it out. Because he said 300,000 ain't shit. So a lot of us are taking plea deals, if you will. We're selling our goals and dreams out for some small reward, and it's not even nothing. instead of having that marathon mentality and playing it for the long term and taking full control. Now, Nipsey Hussle is not the only one who thinks like this. Young M.A, another one of my favorite artists out right now, Brooklyn MC, who is a female rapper. I actually think the first openly gay rapper. So openly gay and someone who has taken full control over her career and really established her identity in a very unique way. And she thinks very similar to Nipsey Hussle. Take a listen to Young M.A talk about what made her stay independent, even though she had a hit record and had tons of different options and tons of different deals from record labels, etc., that were all trying to entice her into the zoo. But she refused. Take a listen.
Now let me ask, you got offered so much money to do deals, and you never did a deal.
Nah.
Did you regret that at all?
Nah, man. I chose to do that. You know what I mean? There wasn't no regret. I would have took that deal if, you know what I mean, if I really was like, yo.
Was you looking for a specific amount of money, or is it just you wasn't doing it?
Nah, it was never about the money. Never about the money. The money they was offering, I never seen before. So, you know, of course, you know, you young, you getting this fame, and you never seen this amount of money before. It's like, it's not easy to be like, no. But I'm like, I have a lot of integrity, man. I think more down the line, more longevity, and that's where my headspace was at. Nobody was telling me to make these decisions neither. Like, this was literally me. It was probably people looking at me like I was crazy. And I was just like, I ain't feeling it. And that's just in my spirit, man.
What kind of bags were they that you was turning down?
They was M's, man, M&M's.
Wow.
Pack of M&M's, man.
And what made you be able to just, what gave you the confidence to be like, nope, I know what I want to do? Did
my
you have
heart,
a plan?
My spirit, yes, man. I always had a plan. Like, that's what I've been grinding for so long for, is because I had a plan. You know what I mean? Like, I know who I am. I know what I represent, and I wasn't sure if a label was going to know how to handle me long term. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because it's like, I'm not your average. Like, I'm in a whole nother lane, you know what I mean? So I'm like, what could y'all possibly do besides throw money and radio and bags at me to keep me, you know what I mean, in this position where I'm good with myself, I have control in a way. And I don't know, I didn't hear that, you know? So I just was like, you know, I'm going to stay independent. I'm going to see how this goes, you know?
Wow. So first off, there was no second guessing. So he asked her, like, did you think twice? No second guessing. And why? Because she had a plan and she trusted herself. So she was thinking down the line. She wasn't thinking short term. And a lot of people sacrifice their control for some sort of reward in the short term, and that always keeps you trapped. Always keeps you trapped. And you're sacrificing. What you have to do is you have to think long term, just like Nipsey Hussle talked about as well. Young M.A talks about also. And again, she was talking about the label. She said, they don't know me as well as I know me. So this is called being the CEO of your life. Like, you're the CEO. And this is what I teach all my athletes, especially who come through Killer Instinct. You got to take control of your career. You're not just an artist. You're also the CEO of your career. And let Nipsey Hussle tell you.
I mean, just the structure of the majors, they don't respect talent. You know what I'm saying? They don't respect.
Major labels don't respect talent.
No, definitely not.
Explain that.
You at the bottom of the totem pole. Go tap dance, go rap, go sing, and then we'll talk to your manager or we'll talk to the executives involved in your situation. You know, of course, when you blow up, they jump on your dick and act like, you know, they don't, but it's not respect. You know what I'm saying? To me, respect comes first. So when I walk in the door, you know what I'm saying, I'm the executive representing the talent. I'm not the talent. I'm the executive representing the talent. So that's a different conversation. Don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk to me like the talent is disrespectful to me. Don't talk to me about, you know, we can announce it however you want to announce it. You know, we can make a press release. You know, I'm not into that. Talk to the talent like that. Don't talk to me like that. Talk to, you know, about you're gonna be the hottest dude on the West and all that old shit. Talk to the talent like that. Don't talk to me like that. That's not executive talk. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like I would never walk into a situation as talent. I'd never sit in another dude's spot and sell their drugs for him. I've never been about that. You know what I'm saying? I'll bleed the block. I'll sit on the curb in my own sack. You know what I'm saying? And that's always been my philosophy. Even if it's more dangerous to be out front than it is to be in the spot. Even if it's more of a risk. Even if you look like you at a lower point in the game because you ain't sitting in the spot with somebody else, large amount, you sit on the curb with your 7 grams, your half ounce trying to flip that. You know, I'll go that route, you know what I mean? Because it's mine. And I'm in it for the long haul. That's why it's a marathon, you know what I'm saying? I'm true to the game. Just like you said, we keep rising. We gonna keep flipping R7 till it's a bird, you know what I'm saying? Then once I'm the bird, man, you gotta respect me as that. Once I'm an executive with a popping artist, you know what I'm saying, with a national buzz and a national fan base or international fan base, you gotta respect me like you respect the other executives with national artists.
This is powerful. So listen, he said, so he's a talent, meaning he's a rapper. But he said, I'm the executive. So when you speak to me, I'm the executive managing the talent. Most people don't think like that, especially a lot of athletes. I see this. There's a lot of, I should say, should-be entrepreneurs who don't think like this, and that's why they're working for others. They don't see themselves as the CEO of their own career, managing themselves. So think of me, like what I'm doing right now, I'm the talent. But guess what? I also manage myself so no one owns me. So this is what Nipsey Hussle was talking about, is being the executive of your career and not copping out for a deal. Because the question originally was, would you ever take a record deal? And he said very simply, no, because they don't respect the talent. So they become the CEO of the talent and they don't respect the talent. And the talent becomes a slave. But what you want to do is be the CEO, right? He even talked about, he said, I would never be the dude selling drugs on somebody else's block for them. I'd rather bleed the block myself, he said. And even if it's more dangerous. So it's a willingness to embrace pain and discomfort in exchange for full control. You see what I'm saying? And this is uncommon to a lot. But that feeling of full control, there's nothing like it. And Dame Dash talks about it when he talks about this eating the food you kill mentality and philosophy. Take a listen.
You have to put up your own money. That's independence. If someone else is putting up the money, that's dependence. You understand what I'm saying? Now you got to move when they say move. You have to ask. You have to be nice. You have to laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You know what I mean? You have to be around a racist and let them say little things, little cute things. A nerd square that wouldn't survive in the street. And independence is like being, like, let me tell you the perspective of someone that's independent. If there's like a wild dog and he has to literally eat the food he kills, he cannot eat unless he kills something that day. And then there's a dog that's tamed, he lives in a house, but he has 3 square meals a day. He gotta do tricks, he gets petted, he gets kicked out, he gets beat, he gotta get walked, he walks on a leash. When that dog comes in the room with the wild dog is laughing. He doesn't care that you're in a mansion. He doesn't care that you eat steak every day. He still thinks you're a herb. He knows he can take from you because he knows he has to kill every day to eat. You know what I mean? And that's a confidence, that's a rock star. And that's the one thing that I know I will never give up. You know, the ability to be that. Like, I laugh at anyone that's a caged dog. You know, walked on a leash, told when to eat, and does tricks and rolls over for a check.
Are you a caged dog? He said he laughs at caged dogs. And yeah, it's more dangerous in the jungle. But the confidence that comes with it is priceless. And you get to do things on your own terms. You get to be your own boss, if you will. And there's something else that's really unique in people who think like this. Because they're so used to managing themselves, they don't like to be managed by others. Because, again, they take full responsibility. So Nipsey Hussle, in an interview, he was asked about, you know, does he let his woman check him? And I want you to listen how Nipsey Hussle answered that question.
I just like honest people. I like raw people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I like people who just like 100. You know, so I think that if you saying a balance, I wouldn't call that the balance, but I would just say that, you know, that's probably one of the qualities I admire the most. Is that.
Can she tell you triping?
Yeah, for sure. I trip. You know, time to time, I trip. You know, I don't like when nobody check me or have to check me. So I try to stay on top of myself.
Yeah, try to self-check.
Yeah,
self-aware.
So listen, he said, I don't like it when nobody check me, so I try to stay on top of myself. I check myself. So part of being in control, there's a lot more responsibility that comes with that. That means you have to be more self-aware. You have to know yourself better than other people know you so that you can check yourself and not being someone who has to be checked by someone else, someone who's dependent. You want to be independent. And again, with that independence comes with responsibility. So the next piece of this self-reliance is really all about playing your own game. It means advancing your own goals, your own aims. There's a lot of us who, without even knowing, unconsciously are living out somebody else's goals or dreams, playing someone else's game. I see that. I mean, 5 children, 4 of them here with us now, and me and my wife, we homeschool all of our children. And I'm honestly very often surprised at how people respond when when we tell them this, because a lot of people have resistance to it. And it's really funny because when you think about it, and I don't know what country you're in, I don't know what the school system's like where you're at, but what do the schools really teach kids where you live? What game do they teach them to play? Are they teaching them how to be owners? Are they teaching them to be CEOs of their life? Or are they teaching them to memorize information, pass tests, get good grades in school so that you can pay money to go to more school and get a job, not build your own business, get a job in somebody else's business, pay back that money that you took out in school? And that's the game that we're playing. Isn't that a trip? That's the game. Instead of looking back and saying, is that even the game that I want to play? So part of being self-reliant means you play your own game. You advance your own goals, your own dreams. You live by your own rules, and you stop asking other people for advice, and you create your own game instead of being a pawn on somebody else's checkboard. And there's nobody better to explain this than Dame Dash. He was doing an interview with Sway, and Sway asked him about Monique. So Monique's a black actress or a comedian, right? And Chris Rock was sort of standing up for Monique because Monique felt like she wasn't getting enough money from Netflix. So Netflix is handing out these deals, these comedy deals for specials on Netflix. And there were some white actresses, white comedians, female comedians who weren't nearly as popular as Monique, or maybe not out as long. And Monique felt like she was better. And these white actresses, white comedians, were getting a lot more money than Monique was getting, right? So Sway brings this up to Dame Dash and is probably imagining that Dame Dash is going to be like, oh, yeah, that's so messed up that Netflix is doing this. And he's going to start, hopping in that and complaining about the game that Netflix is playing, right? Complaining about the game that a lot of these big, conglomerate, companies are playing. And surely that's a way you can go, right? I mean, let's be honest. Like, there are a lot of, it is unfair, especially to a lot of black people. It is unfair to a lot of women. But listen how Dame Dash responds. He cuts him off. Listen how he responds.
You can do it.
Let me ask you this, because, I heard, I saw Chris Rock write a letter to Hollywood and talk about, the inequalities. We recently saw Monique come out and say how she feel like
fuck Hollywood, man.
How she
fuck
was
Hollywood. You know why? Because it's not our game. We're not from Hollywood. So I'm not playing Hollywood's game. I don't complain about other people's game. I just create my own. I'm not a complainer. I'm not I'm asking you for this, that, and the third. I'm taking from you. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking market share. You don't take my call now, it's get down and lay down. Nothing's stopping me. I could shoot. I could put my own dough up, and I could bag it up and give it to my own consumer. Nothing. It's freedom right now. So I'm celebrating my independence. July 4th every day. Right. But you just got to put up your own dough.
Listen, I told you guys about my story about football. Walk on to Oregon State. And there was a period of time where I felt like I was really getting shafted. They were not playing me. I had done everything they wanted me to do. I had played a lot in my redshirt freshman year. And then for whatever reason, they just stopped playing me. And there was a period of about 2 or 3 weeks where I was really complaining, crying, sort of moping around, being defiant, not really going as hard in practice. And there was a period, it was a moment where I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? Like, I don't really feel like this is a game that I'm going to win. And that's when I decided to transfer, went to Portland State, got my shot there, ultimately ended up going to the league. So my point in saying that is that Dame Dash is saying, fuck Hollywood. Fuck playing by somebody else's rules. I create my own game. He said, I'm celebrating his July 4th every day, Independence Day. I love that shit. So you got to create your own opportunities. You can't complain and cry about another person's game. You can't complain and cry about somebody else's mindset or the way somebody else is looking to live. Create your own environment. You don't like your job, then go create your own shit. You don't like your relationship, go create your own shit. You don't like where you're at, then go create your own shit. It's an attitude of taking. He said, I'm not asking, I'm taking. And this is very, very important. Malcolm X talks about the same thing. Listen to Malcolm X tell it.
It's not a case of our wanting to mix socially with whites. And when and the whites are right in the South when they say that getting a cup of coffee in a restaurant is not going to is all right. But it's not all right for the black man. What does a black man look like begging for a cup of coffee in a white restaurant and doesn't have a job to back up to pay for it when he does get the coffee? It's putting the cart before the horse. Instead of the Negro leaders having the black man begging for a chance to dine in white restaurants, the Negro leader should be showing the black man how to do something to strengthen his own economy, to give himself an independent economy, or to provide job opportunities for himself. Not begging for a cup of coffee in a white man's restaurant.
So listen to what Malcolm X is saying. Similar to Dame Dash, he's saying stop playing by somebody else's rules. Stop begging to be able to have a cup of coffee in somebody else's diner and create your own diner. Create your own shit. Live by your own rules. Decide on your goals. Don't live by mommy and daddy's goals anymore. Don't adopt mommy and daddy's philosophy on religion. Create your own shit. Now, I'm not saying it can't be or it shouldn't be, but you create it. You decide. And this is what a lot of people do not do. They're living by somebody else's rules. There's a great interview with Dame Dash where on the Breakfast Club, famous interview, and he gets into a really heated debate with the radio talk show host. And Dame Dash is challenging them on this boss mentality. And I think the DJ was saying, oh, I love this. I would do this for free, even though he doesn't own the radio station. And again, Dame Dash is thinking on a different level. He's playing a different game. Listen to how he responds.
Cool out for a second.
I'm not mad. The mentality is this. It's frustrating because you're on the radio and this message is crazy to me. You're saying because you enjoy music or being a DJ, you enjoy having a boss. If you enjoy being a DJ, just why don't you own your own radio station and then DJ for your own radio station so your son can just get on anytime he wants? That's all I'm saying.
But it's steps to it, though.
No, there's no steps to it because I do it. See, you enjoy the safety and the security of a job every day. But there's no pride in that to me. My son takes pride. My kids take pride in the fact that I have Dash Motors. And because I have that, my son said, I'm not going to ever have a boss. His mentality is different. It's just about changing mentality.
Now, let me ask you a question. There's millions of people out there that don't have that opportunity and
all have the opportunity.
A boss every day. So you're basically saying because they have a boss, there's no pride in that?
I think because people on the radio tell people it's okay to have a boss, they don't understand that they can have more. And because of the direct-to-consumer relationship, the internet, there's no excuse.
So listen, he talked about the security. People crave the security. When he said there's no pride, there's no honor in that. The pride comes from knowing you have control and you can pass things down to your family. You could make moves in the way that you want to do it. You can live life on your own terms. And he said it's all a mentality, and it really is. And it's not just about business. It's in everything you do. And you should begin to challenge yourself on what you have, what elements of your life did you decide to live like this? Did you decide to dress in the way that you dress? Did you decide to hang with the people that you still hang with? Did you decide to live where you live right now? Or did you always want to live somewhere else, but you never decided that? And Dame Dash is saying, take ownership of that. If you love it, he was challenged. If you love being a radio host, then start your own shit. Be your own boss. And he talked about his son never needing to have a boss. This is very important, very powerful. And then, of course, the last pillar of self-reliance is all about creating your own identity. If you want to be someone who's really, truly self-reliant, you want to create your own identity. And this is really a marketing principle at the end of the day. There's a great book by Al Ries called 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Anyone who is looking to start a business, has a business, you have to understand marketing. There's no better book to start with than the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And in it, he talks about creating your own lane so that you can stand apart from everyone else, because in a sea of everyone's the same, you want to stand apart. There's another book called Blue Ocean Strategy as well that talks about the same thing, also a marketing book. So you want to be your own person. Stop letting other people define you. You define yourself. Now, Young M.A, the female artist that I was talking about earlier, in an interview, the interviewer just very bluntly said, "So you're a lesbian?" Watch how she responded.
So you're a lesbian.
No,
You're not a
Young
lesbian.
M.A.
But I mean, I'm gay, so you're non-titled.
You know,
no
I don't do
title.
that label. Nah, you know, I'm just
but you wouldn't date a guy.
absolutely not.
Okay, so then, but you don't.
That's it.
Somebody
I just wouldn't date a guy.
Somebody asked me if I wanted some pussy. I said, keep fucking with my allergies if you want to.
So you don't no pronouns, no they,
Nah, bro, I don't
no
like that. At first, I thought it
Okay.
was like because everybody said it, but now I'm like not now, but
non-binary.
for the,
None
man,
of
I'm
that.
just Young M.A, man.
Okay.
I just don't date dudes. I love
Okay.
women.
So listen how simple this is, and you might think it's not really that big of a distinguishing factor, but it is. Young M.A is making a point. She's telling people, don't define me. Don't put me in this class. I'm this. You define yourself. You don't allow society, because when you think about these titles, even when you think about black, white, etc. So my oldest son, he is 14 years old, and when you see him compared to my middle son, and they both share the same mother, same dad, and my middle son is almost darker than me, while my oldest son is very, very light. So much so that he could pass as Caucasian. And if you guys know the rapper Logic, kind of similar to that, where Logic has a black father, white mom, but looks white, right? And my son has gone through a lot of pain around, how to identify with himself, and this is something he's continuously working on, and he's made a lot of progress. And as he continues to grow, will be even more of a source of confidence for him. But one of the challenges with him is creating his own identity and not having someone say, "Are you black? Are you white? Are you this? Are you that?" And that's really society. That's really people who tell you that. But it takes a real boss to take control and say, "Nah, this is what I am." She said, "I'm Young M.A. That's what I am. So don't call me lesbian. Don't call me whatever this, whatever that. I am this." And Dame Dash does the same thing. Check how he responds as well.
Well, let's talk about you. Do you feel like you get your props as a mogul,
I
man?
don't care. I take my props.
Word.
Give a fuck about props. I can't. I do get my props. I'm not a mogul. I'm a tycoon. I sell oil. Don't disrespect me and say I do everything everybody else does. And I put up my own money. All these so-called moguls y'all talking about, you name one of them that put their own dough up. A boss, you're only the boss if you put up your own money. If you don't put up your own money, I don't care how much somebody gives you, you're nothing but a supervisor. It's not yours.
He said, I'm not a mogul. I'm a tycoon. I sell oil. He said, don't disrespect me by putting me in the same class as everyone else. And you see he gets a little heated about it because people like Dame Dash, people like Young M.A, people who are true bosses don't want to be categorized in that way. They make it a point saying, "Nah, I'm nothing like you." Listen to Nipsey Hussle, one of my favorite Nipsey Hussle songs. He makes it very clear.
Worth a couple million, that's a fact, nigga. But I am nothing like you fucking rap niggas. I own all the rights to all my raps, nigga.
This is the mindset. This is the I'm not you mindset. I'm not you. I'm something totally different. Don't compare me to none of y'all. I'm this way. I'm this. It's you are defining yourself. Now, probably got a lot of feelings coming up. A lot of different arguments, a lot of different objections. What about, what about working with other people? You can't do everything on your own. You need people. We're social animals. We have to rely on other people. With this mindset, it sounds like you're going to be alone. You're going to be without friends, never trusting people, paranoid. Listen, first things first, as a business owner, same thing with any area of your life. Delegating before you know how to do whatever it is that you're doing is stupid and foolish. It will get you killed out here. Not just metaphorically, sometimes actually physically killed. And I found this out in the business the hard way. And Sam Walton, who would be the richest man in the world right now if he was alive, the dude who owns Walmart, or who owned Walmart, who created Walmart, a lot of his children, just off their equity in Walmart alone, are some of the richest people in the world. This was a dude who knew every aspect of his business. So I'm not suggesting you should be on some island by yourself, doing everything on your own, not relying on anyone else. That's foolish talk. That's not what I'm saying. But in order to delegate that, you have to become a master of every area of your life. A lot of athletes, you see these athletes giving away, responsibility, giving away ownership to people who are supposed to run their career, and they do a horrible job and they end up broke because you don't learn anything about it. You don't learn how to do your books. You don't learn accounting. You don't learn how to understand numbers. You don't understand how to book your own shows. You don't understand how to do this and do that. You just want to do what you love to do. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's not how it works. You need to learn every aspect of your life. You need to focus on self-mastery. And yes, you can delegate. Yes, you could build a team. You should build a team, but some of you are trying to do it way before you need to. And of course you need people. Just not the way that you're needing people. So what you're doing is you desire to be taken care of. You want your life to be simple. And this causes you to needlessly rely on people. You find ways to need more people, and the wrong people for that matter. The wrong mates, the wrong business partners, the wrong partnerships. Train yourself to be efficient on your own. Take responsibility. Learn to be alone. Be on your own for some time. Learn how to be on your own, because you will be on your own, especially when shit hits the fan. You're not always going to have this really, plush group of people around you supporting you. It's not going to be like that. And if you haven't experienced that yet, you just haven't gone through real enough shit yet. I promise you, at some period of your life, you're going to be more alone than you ever thought that you would be or could be or wanted to be. And you're not going to know how to deal with it because you've never been on your own before. You have to train yourself to be alone. And then, of course, you got to invest in friendships. You need people, but you got to invest in the right people. Invest in people, the right types. Find the friends to invest in. Don't take whatever life gives you. Don't be with whoever life shows you. Be ruthless with who you're letting in your circle, how you let them in, why you let them in. And then what you'll do is create the right type of circle, a small circle of well-established goons who really have your back. And also, your willingness to be alone, people sense that. That means you value yourself. And guess what you're going to attract? People who value that. And that's when real loyalty takes place. So listen, the challenge is this. Now I want you to take inventory of all of your weaknesses, the skills that you lack, the reasons why you keep delegating control to other people. It's because you have weaknesses. You have skills that you don't have. And you've been refusing to learn them. Where are you weak? Identify the relationships that you hold out of fear and start deciding on your own path. Take inventory of your life and see, where is it that I'm allowing other people, whether from the past or right now, to decide what it is that I'm doing. Question that. Be rebellious about that. Be angry about that. Be angry about the fact that right now you're living your life in some sort of way as designed by someone else. I don't like that shit. You shouldn't either. It's time to take control, and it starts with that self-reliance that we're talking about. Really relying on yourself. All right? Stick with me on next episode. We're going to break down the power of discipline. Discipline is at the cornerstone of control. You have to have a discipline in yourself, and I'm going to break it down very, very practically, and I'm going to use lots of great examples from some of the world's most dominant to show you it's about discipline. That's what leads to that control. All right? I'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.